getting lonely up there. I got Art, I got Mark. Okay. All right, let's try it again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, people are awake. Meeting number 181, TMG, the MAC Group, TMG Dayton, and I hope it's June 14th. Our agenda, we always start out with the welcome, Mr. Kurtner. Okay, I will wait for Mr. Kurtner. He's collecting some names. The welcome is how we always start out our meeting, and that's where we have our new members and our guest visitors introduce themselves, and we ask that they stand and that they tell us a little bit about themselves and what kind of Macintosh they use or want to use, and basically generate some information. Thank you, sir. Okay. Jay, we're going to start with you. Just introduce yourself to the group.
Hello, my name's Jay Newhouse, and I currently have a first-generation MacBook Pro, and I came here, I've known about these meetings for a few years, and I've wanted to get more use out of my Mac and kind of find out what all you guys were doing, so.
Okay, Jay, tell them what you do. Tell them all the stuff you do.
I do a lot of photography and freelance video, and I also DJ, and I'm working on music production, so that's what I'm kind of working on with my Mac, so.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Todd, you'd be good enough to stand up and just introduce yourself
Hi,
to the group.
everybody. My name is Todd Weimer. My mom is a member here, and I'm a guest. And I just wanted to come along. She speaks very highly of this group, and I just wanted to see what I could learn. And there's always new stuff coming along.
Okay.
I'm a design professional. I work in packaging on the Mac. I have a G5 dual 2.5 processors. But I do a lot of Photoshop intensive work and packaging and signage and marketing point of purchase display units and stuff like that for some of the big box stores, Walmarts and Walmarts and stuff like that.
You doing any of the online stuff with Flash?
No, I would love to learn that. I really would. In fact, that's kind of the bane of my finding a job right now is people are really desirous of. I just moved from Chicago several months ago.
Okay.
And I was a layoff victim of a downsizing, and so I moved back to this area. I'm trying to get a job down at P&G or something in that area, or here, either or. But a lot of the people are like, "What do you know? DreamWorks, Flash, whatever." And so, I do need to learn that stuff. Absolutely.
Well, welcome. And last but not least, Teresa Davis.
Hi, I'm Teresa Davis. I have an iMac, and I really don't know too much about how to use it. And Bill and Frank made me come.
Okay. So if it doesn't work out well,
They're
it's
blamed.
his fault and my fault. So you
That's
can
right.
just blame Bill.
Thinks he's gonna pull a tooth of that.
Bill.
And what do you want to be able to do?
I just want to learn more about it. The iMac is our personal computer at home, and
Okay.
I know I'm not using it to its full potential, and so.
So you're doing email at least?
Yes, we do email at least,
Okay.
yeah. We've got iTunes and
So you're
a
doing music, so
little
you're
bit
into
of
entertainment.
iDVD, but not, just
Okay.
starting to.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a mom and a dentist,
Okay,
mostly mom.
okay. I was a house husband for 12 years. So I know how challenging
That's the
those
hardest
jobs
job.
can be, yeah. Okay, do we have any other guests or visitors that have late arrival? Carolyn Newhouse.
Hi, I'm Jay Newhouse's mom, and he told me so much about this group. It seemed very interesting. I use an iBook and teach computer graphics at Beaver Creek High School. I've been used to using PCs. That's what I doing my job, but since I've discovered the Apple, that's what I like to use in my personal life.
Okay, again. Make them welcome. Okay, there's just an error message coming up on the screen. And let me get over here, there we go. The reason I'm doing this is I don't have Art Aronson, our treasurer, in the front row, nagging me and telling me, directing me what to do. Art's home, he's down with a case of pneumonia, so I don't think he's going to be showing up to the meeting today. Okay, so that was the welcome. The next thing we do is the agenda. That's where I tell you what the agenda is, and then we hear the groans from the crowd, but we go ahead and do it anyway. Our agenda is the rest of these items, which is we will do local news, Macintosh-related news that we know about. After that, we're going to do for sale. That's where if you have items for sale or that you want to buy, you know, the situation I'm frequently in, I've gotten a new machine. My best friend and significant other and spouse says, you know, Bill, you really need to get rid of the older machines, so sometimes they're freebies also. And then we do a help desk. That's where people have had problems during the month. We talk about the problems, and usually there's somebody in the crowd that knows the solution. After that, we do a raffle, and we have raffle items this month. Yes, we do. And then after that, we do a break. Now, normally, after that break, that biological break, 10, 15 minutes, we split into two groups. We're not going to do that this month. This month, we're going to stay together in one group. And the reason is I've been a poor leader. I was not able to, well, I had someone that was scheduled to present today. They had to cancel. I then went to Plan B, which was to have Jason from Mactown present. Unfortunately, Jason is not able to be here because of various things. You know, he's got a life too. So I'm working on Plan C, which is I'm going to do the presentation, but unfortunately, I have not mastered this technique of being in two places at once. So I figured it was better, considering what the topic is, that we all stay together as one group. So after, just going to say cancel. Looks like we're making progress with your iPod, Phyllis.
Okay.
I've got Phyllis's iPod hooked up, her sick iPod. So after the break, we're going to have one presentation here, and it's going to be essential Mac maintenance. Okay, not troubleshooting, not, oh my God, what do I do now? Just Mac maintenance. Okay? And since you only have one choice, guess what you're going to stay for? Okay. Does anybody have a problem with the agenda or have any questions about the agenda? I'm going to suggest that we move forward then. Okay, does anybody have any news that they want to share with the group?
New iPhone announced.
Okay, new iPhone announced.
I was questioning, Version Tracker sent me something about signing on to CNET or something. Do you have any idea what's going on with that?
CNET bought Version Tracker and MacFixit and a couple other sites, so they all belong to CNET now.
Am I going to have to sign on and create an account with CNET, or are they going to continue using and sending me emails with Version Tracker?
For a short period of time, about 90 days, you'll be able to use your old login, but you want to create that new login. Okay, and then that'll be good for all of the CNET sites. I got the same message. Okay. Now, I've got an item that I want to give, and the reason why is because Chuck was just talking, and then we'll switch to the other folks. I usually just sort of moderate the meetings. I don't talk that much normally. We purchased for the group an ebook from the Take Control people. This is the Ernst from Tidbits. And the reason why I'm talking about it now is that Chuck had sent me a thing that he needed to get the materials that were from the presentation on email settings. Unfortunately, the person who did that presentation was out of town for his daughter's graduation down in Texas. He's here at the meeting today, though, so I'll get you two linked up at the break. But we purchased Take Control of Apple Mail in Leopard, and this 85, 86 page ebook has a whole bunch of stuff about how you go about setting up email accounts, not just in mail, but in other things. So I think Chuck's going to enjoy that. This is free to you, no extra cost. The club bought it. And if you have flash drives with you, we can provide it to you that way. Otherwise, I'm just going to have either Mr. Georges or Mr. Kurtner email it out to the membership.
Can we download?
Mr. Kurtner, do we have a network set up that they can download from? I think he is in the process of putting it together. Okay. So give us a couple minutes ago. Probably at the break. We'll have it set up by the break, and that way, if my presentation gets too boring, you'll be able to just download and be reading. Okay. And I can't recommend the folks at Tidbits highly enough. They really do produce a quality series of books, easy to understand. They're not meant for the system administrator. They're meant for real people with real lives that don't have time. They can't spend 3-4 weeks learning the intricacies of bind and DNS. They just want to get their airport set up, or they want to get their mail working. Very, very good books that they have. And if you remember, we distributed one of their books either earlier this year or was at the end of last year, but it was Taking Control of Leopard, which told you all about that new operating system. Okay, I'm done talking. And
well, I'm not sure if it's news, but Englewood just passed an ordinance that has to do with utilities. Basically, they're concerned because I didn't know if anybody else has heard about this, but AT&T and some others may be moving in on Time Warner. They passed this thing that if you have utility boxes in the front or whatever, they have to screen them and so forth. They can't just stick them in your yard, which makes me think that somewhere down the road, Time Warner is going to be getting some competition. Has anybody else heard anything about that? Or
I haven't.
okay.
Have you?
Something along that line, yes. They're running fiber optics in various parts of the county. This is AT&T. They're putting in large junction boxes. In Centerville, they're required at least to put some bushes around it, whether they're appropriate or not, who knows. But if you see flags start popping up, watch. They do not put door knockers out. They don't tell you who they are. We've had on one of our properties a sewer lateral cut, a 300 pair AT&T line cut, which didn't thrill Colwell Banker Heritage, and a gas line cut. So watch this bunch.
They always sub them out. That's why.
Yeah, it's a company called CTS who's been doing it in one area. So they will put these boxes, fortunately in our place, they're putting them in apartment building.
Now, this may be an add-on to, because of the, what do they call the florists now? They're not the Foreign Technology Division anymore, they're something else. Yeah, with that whole, not program, development that's going on at the base, they needed to increase their bandwidth at the base, so there was a whole bunch of fiber that was being run in by AT&T for that.
Talking about, Englewood did it because it's coming to the communities as well, I guess. But I just didn't know if I heard when.
AT&T and the other phone companies haven't made any secret about their desires and plans to compete with cable, for delivery of programming. So,
And if they're going to do that, yeah, you can sort of do it over copper, but you're going to be in a much better position if you got fiber in place.
But their directional billing, my problem is their directional isn't all that great.
Well, it all comes down to who's operating the equipment.
Well, they scored a direct hit on us, on a 6-inch sewer lateral.
Hey!
The best one though is when they cut the gas line, that does show up in a hurry when they have a cut one.
Yeah, just on the side, not really news, but just sort of interesting thing. There was a statement by some congressman about the internet was like a sewer. This is a couple years ago. Now this got some people thinking about, you've got all these sewer lines that are already in place in most cities. And if you could snake fiber through them, you don't have to go drilling. And it already goes into every house and business, etc. And they're actually doing this in the city of London now, running internet fiber through the sewer lines. And that's how your connect comes up. So I just thought it'd be interesting.
Watch that joke. Could be a real thing.
Okay, in any case, my apologies, I didn't think about the gesture. Anybody else have anything else that's newsworthy? Yes,
Time
Rick.
Warner Cable is dropping Usenet news groups, seemingly in response to the Attorney General in New York clamping down on child pornography, twisting the arm of carriers to block the news groups, and they just said, deck with it, throw them all out. And the coverage, I've seen some articles that obviously written by people that don't know that there's a huge community out there that does technical things, and health things, and hobbies, and basically just characterizing news groups as ways to upload and download porn. So it's kind of a concern that they have cracked the wall. The government now is meddling in getting US or ISPs to filter the internet.
Yeah.
And it's going to be completely ineffective, but the rest of us will suffer for this.
Okay. All right, any other news? Going once, going twice? Jeff Gunderman in the back row.
I just wanted to ask if anybody else heard about any of the new Macs beyond the aluminum iMacs or the aluminum MacBooks that are coming out. I know they're going to revamp all the aluminum one for the regular MacBooks.
You want just a
About
wild
five
rumor?
Mac.
You just want a wild rumor that somebody sent me?
Sure.
Okay, think of a Mac Mini that's the same size as an Airport Extreme time capsule, whatever they call it now. Slightly larger, a little more real estate, Blu-ray in it. At the a decent graphic card. That's why it has to be a bigger box, where you can easily upgrade the hard drive in that for the same price point of the current one. But again, unconfirmed. It's just I think it's interesting that some of the accessory companies are starting to make those hard drive cases that are the same size as the Airport Extreme wireless access point and the time capsule.
No timing, maybe fall.
Yeah, probably. In time for school. To confuse all the educators that are, already had their budgets figured out, and now all of a sudden they've got a new thing on the horizon and figure out how they're going to get it fit into the budget. Okay, let's go to for sale. Anybody have anything for sale?
Hang on. .Mac has changed.
Oh, okay, we're still in news. What's it now?
Well, they changed it. It's called, I think, Mobile Me.
Yeah,
Mini
something
Me?
like that.
Mobile Me. I don't know all the details of what they're changing, but I think they're increasing the hard drive size or the online storage size. And I don't know if this is Mobile Me or if it's the iPhone 2 software or what. iPhone 2 software was also announced at the Worldwide Developers Conference, but now they're able to push mail, and they can now sync all your computers and all your handhelds by push. If you change it on one, it goes to Apple servers and it pushes it out to the rest of your devices.
So it's not pull, it's push
It's
technology.
push. Yeah, they're using push now.
It was all designed to sync with the new iPhone.
Okay.
Right. And did anybody see the Worldwide Developers Conference?
Yeah.
Did you happen to notice that Steve Jobs didn't look too good? He's really gaunt, and there's rumors going around that he had cancer again. And supposedly, what Apple came back and told folks is that he was sick just prior to the Worldwide
Bad
Developers
tomatoes.
Conference. Yeah. But man, he did look. He looked like looked bad. But anyway,
Okay.
I had to say a Alina for him. So.
Johnson,
Remember, all the news you hear here is
Stays
worth
here.
what you paid for it. Let's do for sale wanted. Anybody have any items that they have for sale or freebies they bought in this month? No freebies, nothing for sale? Anybody
Well,
looking?
I got some freebies, I guess.
These are freebies or these are raffle items?
No, these are freebies. These are protection packs. They're from Marware. These are for laptops. You know, they have the little pads that go over your keyboards, and they have the peel and stick goes on the wrist, you know, things on the laptops. Yeah. But anyway, Dr. Botts had
Instead of
these.
using Post-it notes to
Right.
protect the valuable real estate, it's a, I don't know, it feels almost like felt, but it's not felt.
Yeah. But
That
what I really
adheres to
like
the whole area.
is the piece of microcloth that goes across the keyboard. You know, it keeps your keyboard from making impressions on the screen, and also you can use it to clean off the screen. But I bought a whole bunch of these
Those of you who
things.
don't keep your original packing with
So I've got 4 17-inch, I got 1 15-inch, and I've got 3 12-inch. So if you got power books and these fit, you're more than
Can I
welcome
get one
to
of the
take them.
12-inch?
Huh?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So anybody wants them?
Great.
Huh? Come here and get it.
17 in there?
Yeah.
Okay,
You're
anybody
welcome.
got anything
Go ahead.
else they're looking for, wanted? Are you looking for anything in particular? Used equipment? I'm gonna move on to help desk. Anybody have any problems with their machine this month? Yes, sir.
Actually, two of them. First, we are running the DSL, getting a message from Yahoo about security on the email. You know what it says?
That they're increasing security, decreasing security?
Well, something about our SSL setting.
They force you to use.
Okay, secure socket player socket setting, okay. You need to change it?
That's what they're saying.
Okay.
I've got a PC at home and I use
Yeah,
Outlook for that, and that's, I don't have an issue, but every time I sync my phone
yeah,
and it goes out, looks at the mail, it doesn't have the secure server of the phone.
yeah.
And I get one of those messages generated every time I sync my phone.
Ah,
So I think that's what it, they want you to use that.
you're still doing your email via the web, a web browser? Or are you using a mail client? You're using mail, okay. And you're running Panther or Tiger? macOS 10.3 or 10.4? 10.3.9, okay. Yeah, think about maybe upgrading, you know, to a newer operating system, because they fixed some stuff in mail. Last time I was out at your house, I didn't look at the settings, but it could be something as simple as we flip a switch, you know, little binary digit that we click.
Well, it's the same settings we've had for a long time. This is just starting.
Yahoo's in the process of redoing all their email stuff. You may have gotten emails about that from them. Have you,
They've sent us,
and have you read them?
that's usual.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
we tried to read them, that's what we don't.
Ah.
Okay. Can I make a suggestion? At the break, talk to Don. Okay? I know Don. Hey, you had a good time at your daughter's graduation down in Texas? It's time to join the real world again, sir.
I degenerated.
Okay. Anyway, but just at the break, just talk, because it could be that there's something, you know, relatively simple. Yes, Jim?
I have the same problem with Earthlink about, maybe last summer, the same idea where Earthlink using mail would require you to activate your SSL feature in mail.
Okay.
It took all of about 4 or 5 minutes to just go into the preferences, and then somewhere within the checking mail, check for password with SSL, and then type in your username and password. And I used the Earthlink help screen to make sure I was.
The trick is, I think we've done that.
Oh, you have?
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, in any case, I'm thinking, you know, this is going to be a conversation that's going to occur, process. Okay? So I'm going to bring Don in on it. He'll get back at me later on in the week. We work at the same place, so he knows how to get me. You want to mention the other problem you had that I assisted you with?
Well, yeah, that's some way we had picked up a macro in Word, which was hence generating.
A bad macro.
Yeah, bad
Yeah.
one.
What's considered to be, they call them macrophages, they call them. It's a virus that's in a Microsoft Office macro.
Which was a roaring nuisance, fortunately, with Symantec blows off all those macro files off of all the Word documents, so you don't have to go in and set up a new clean, and then do a copy and paste of all your Word documents.
But there's two very important things to learn from this. He was using ClamX AV and the Clam AV product to scan. Didn't understand the error message he got about the macro. But there's, while Clam AV will detect and warn you about viruses, including these macros, it does not remove them. So that required, of course, these are smart people, they knew who to call. Hey, Bill, come help. And so you need a commercial product to remove the virus if you want to do it easily. If you've got all these documents that suddenly have the virus in them, 100, 200 documents, you don't want to have to manually do each one. And the commercial product, Sophos, Symantec, and is Virix still in existence? McAfee Virix? Anyway, all three of those have that removal function, and about 80% of the time they're able to remove the virus.
Do they delete the macro file?
Yeah. What it actually does is it opens up, using its code, it opens up the document, it then saves it without the macro, and then it throws the original one
Because
away.
I tried going in and deleting the macro in each one of them.
Yeah.
And resaving it. And that didn't throw the macro away.
Has
Yes.
there been any experience with the, I don't know if you were talking about a PC or not, has there been any experience with macros and Word documents of Microsoft Office for Mac?
Mhm.
You have had that experience, problems with it?
That's what he had.
Oh, I thought you said something
Yeah,
about
but
it.
as long as it shows up, apparently you get it from somebody, it doesn't make much difference
No.
if it's coming in from a.
The important thing to understand is, while you're an infected machine, it doesn't hurt your machine, your Mac. It's not going to do anything to your Mac. You're like Typhoid Mary, who, while she doesn't get sick from the virus, anybody who comes in contact with her that's running Windows can get sick. So it's always important to have antivirus software on your Mac because of the other guy who isn't running a Mac.
Well, it just comes in as a Visual Basic file attached to the Word document or the
Yeah, well,
PowerPoint or whatever, right?
Yeah. Okay, in any case, anybody else have problems this month? Chuck?
I've got very low disk space on my laptop. Can I start removing print files and different types of fonts? And how can I start to gain?
What I'm going to suggest is let's hold off on that one till when I'm doing the presentation, because what you're describing, the technical term is cruft. Okay, that's stuff which accumulates on a computer over time, regardless of the operating system. Cruft, C-R-U-F-T. Next time you're playing Scrabble, put that word down, and they'll go, wow. Anybody else? Helped us. Okay, then we're going to move on. Going back here. Yes, I know, this is a crutch, but believe me, this month I need every assistance I can get. Finish that raffle. Mr. Georges.
Okay.
What do we have for raffle this month? Okay. Now, one other thing that I'd like to do before we call the break, and we're going to take a 15-minute break because I'm doing the presentation too, so I need a little bit extra time. As you know, Mark George's videotapes presentations. And sometimes people have that quandary, they want to be in the presentation, but they also want to be in the novice group, and they have to decide which one they go to. We're going to, over the summer, produce those DVDs onto physical media and distribute those at the meeting after the summer break, so that you'll be able to view past presentations. Okay. Now, with that said, I need some help, people that are going to help me with this whole process. Okay, because I'd also like to have with it a software CD where we put the open source stuff that we find to be of value to the members, and maybe put some of the other meeting materials on it. So send me emails if you have ideas for what should be on the CD, or if you're willing to help me, if you're willing to take charge of the process while I do a managerial thing without any micro-control. I know we have a lot of creative people out in the audience, and believe me, you're going to do it a lot better job than I will. Okay? So it's mainly, we have the content, it's mainly just getting our packaging together and then doing the production process. We've got the burners, we've got the printer to print the labels, excuse me, to print the DVDs. So it's basically just, I'm looking for some editorial types and suggestions, and because you know more than I do. So I'd like you to share that with me, okay? I'm getting this quizzical look. They don't believe me. Okay, let's take a 15-minute break.
Hey, Bill?
Yep.
Question.
I was just wondering if there was a microphone available by any chance for this?
I can bring one up.
Yeah, we were talking about the fact that I don't, it's a little hard to hear.
Okay. With the novice group, we use a mic back there, and we keep it down low because usually the presenter does a much better job of projecting than I do. But we can get one during the break so that I have a little speaker system. Huh?
I could help.
Okay. Okay. All right, so let's take a 15-minute break. So I've got 35 after, so we're going to start at 10 till. Do we know approximately how many people we got here today? I printed up 50. We should be good. Okay, I'm going to get that process started, and then we'll get started. And one of your friends couldn't come to the meeting today, and they asked you to bring, the notes with you when you see them. Take an extra copy. Small round of applause for the retired teacher and engineer that was moving the stuff for me. What I usually do before I start the presentation, I make sure everybody's got the same materials that I've got. So you should have 5 pieces of paper in your folder. You've got one that's at the top, it says My Mac Cheat Sheet. If you don't have it, yell out. You should have another one that says Machine Profile. And those are blank forms. Another one that says Periodic Task Checklist. And then 2 pieces of paper that have the meat of the presentation in them. One that's labeled, headed Tips to Keep Your Mac in Top Form. And Software to Keep Your Mac in Top Form. Everybody's good to go? Excellent. Topic is Essential Mac Maintenance. Voice check. I'm doing okay in the back row? Okay. I don't know why I put that graphic in there. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a good idea at the time. Here we go. I am your presenter, and I'd ask that you turn off your pagers and cell phones. I'm currently employed as a system engineer for Cox Ohio Publishing. Those are the folks that produce the Dayton Daily News, Springfield News Sun, Hamilton Journal, Middletown Journal, and a whole bunch of weeklies in the area, plus a whole bunch of other stuff that we print for other companies, such as the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. Everybody's got my contact information if they need to get a hold of me. I'll wait until somebody says, "Okay, Bill." I'm going to move ahead anyway. Just a sad note. Frank Lewis, who was one of our founding members, died about 2 weeks ago. And so this presentation is dedicated to Frank. Very interesting fellow, and I'd need a couple hours to tell you everything I know about him, and I didn't even know him that well. But I did know one thing about Frank. He never stopped learning. If I can think of anything that's a great testament to somebody, that's what it is. Okay, what we will cover. We're going to go over what is Mac maintenance, because there's some, discussion among people, or just disagreement among what actually is maintenance. Collecting your Mac info, maintenance tips, maintenance software, and the periodic task checklist. Thank you, sir. Okay, am I still good? First voice? I feel like I'm doing a podcast here. Okay, what is Mac maintenance? My definition: user actions that enhance the operation of your Macintosh. They include, but this is not a all-encompassing list, hardware monitoring, software updates, recording your Macintosh info, saving backups, and cleaning. One other thing I want to make sure that I'm being clear about. The focus of this presentation is on users of Leopard. Things have changed significantly as the newer operating systems have come out from Apple. Every time they come out with a newer version of the operating system, it's a little more stable, a little bit easier to use, and requires a little less maintenance. So many of the things that used to be almost mandatory, you don't have to worry about anymore with Leopard. Any questions so far? Nope? Okay. Where I always start with maintenance is collecting information. You've got, excuse me, I gotta get a drink of coffee here. I don't know what it is about the microphone, but it's making me nervous. 2 sheets, a machine profile and a My Mac cheat sheet. Let's do the My Mac cheat sheet first. This came from Apple Computer, and it's up on their Mac Essentials 101 section of their webpage. The whole purpose of this is for you to collect this information about your computer, and if you've got more than one, Xerox, make a copy of it, and fill out one for each machine. So that when bad things happen, you've already got all the information together in one place. So when you're on the telephone with a support person, you can answer their questions in a timely fashion. So look at the type of information you want to collect. First, what version of the operating system you're running? What kind of processor is in the machine? Is it an Intel processor? Is it a IBM processor, a PowerPC processor? How much memory do you have in the machine? The serial number of the machine. Now, you may be thinking, well, that's real hard to collect that kind of information. But if you go to your Apple on your Mac, go to your Apple, go to About This Mac. Now, this particular machine is running Tiger, that's Mac OS 10.4. you get this little title screen. Right there, underneath Mac OS X, it tells me what version of the operating system I'm running. And if I click on that, it tells me what build of the operating system I'm running. And if I click it again, it gives me my serial number. Okay, so that's operating system version and serial number. We just got two of those things. And if you click on the More Information button, another program launches called Apple System Profiler. It used to be called Apple System Profiler. And here it's telling me the type of machine it is, the speed of the processor, what kind of processor, how much RAM it's got. It's got 1 gig of RAM. So you want to collect this information, put it down on paper, and so I gave you a nice handy form to do that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Possibility? Can you print and it will just dump the whole mess?
You will print everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
I've
copy
got-
and paste too.
I've got a little widget that I use with Apple Remote Desktop, and what it does is it collects the information from however many machines I've got selected. I maintain about 380 Macs. And then it dumps it into a report, a spreadsheet, and then from the spreadsheet into a report. And then it prints up individual 3x5 cards that I keep machine records on. So, yeah. The other thing that I've done in previous lectures, let me get back to my point here.
229 pages.
Okay, anyway, let me just keep moving down the flow here. But I gave you two forms to fill out. One which is meant for more of a home use, which is my Mac cheat sheet, and the other one is machine profile. And this is meant for more of use in a work environment, where you would write down the name of the machine, the name of the user, inventory, asset number, that kind of thing. If you're interested in other types of forms like this, I've got a variety of these forms in different formats. But what you would do with this form, the machine profile, is also write down the software that's installed and the serial numbers. So that if you ever have, for example, a house fire and you lose your installed disk, or you lose the information that you have on what the serial numbers are, you've got it all in one place where you can replace that. Or if the computer's stolen, or the hard drive crashes and you need to reinstall everything, this way you've got everything in one place, so when you go to reinstall, you're set to go. Now, I consider this sort of stuff to be part of the maintenance process. Okay, other people would say, no, Bill, you're just being anal, but it's really part of the maintenance process. Now, so I gave you two forms, but let me give you a little bit more information about what you should be collecting and what I call information. Get yourself a Ziploc storage bag, freezer bag, big one, okay? Put your Mac cheat sheet in it. Then take your Apple install CDs, the stuff that came with the computer, put them in the bag. Then the CDs for the applications that you've purchased, your Dreamweaver or your, help me out here, folks. Okay, whatever the software is. Your printer drivers, the stuff that comes with the printer. Put all of those in the Ziploc bag. Okay, your printer install CDs, your application CDs. Put your machine profile in there where you get all the serial numbers. And make copies of the paper first and put them in a secure place like a fire vault or something like that. And then take your Ziploc bag, close it, and put it away in a safe place that you'll remember, in a room not where the computer is. Okay? Now you're doing this for two reasons. One, if the computer gets stolen, chances are they're going to rummage in the room with the computer looking for this stuff, and they won't find it. And two, if all this stuff is in another room and you start to fiddle with the computer to try and fix it, The very fact that you got to get up and walk to another room to get the CDs to do this is going to make you stop and think and go, wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't try and do this myself. Maybe I should call one of the other members of the user group, run this past them, and get some other advice on what to do. Okay, and you want to do this for each computer that you have. Now there's another reason why this is a good thing to do. What about when you're no longer using that computer, you've got something newer and better and faster and all that other wonderful stuff, and you want to give this computer to somebody. Instead of having to rummage around looking for the original CDs and whatever, you've got it all in one bag. You can put that bag with the computer, and if you're going to donate it, here you go. If you're giving it to someone, here you go. And you're teaching them a good maintenance practice at the same time. So I know it sounds very trivial and minor. You're collecting stuff in a plastic bag, but really that's the basis of good maintenance. Collecting your information and those resources that you're going to need if something bad happens.
Bill, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
If you don't like plastic bags, you can do what my wife does and go to Office Depot or someplace and buy the plastic expander things and just stick it all in there, because that's what she's organized like that.
Yeah, but stuff falls out then.
No, it's got the lid on it. It won't fall out.
I'm not sure what expander things you're talking about.
No, it's just it's a
Oh, accordion files.
Yeah.
Okay. Like my my timekeeper file, my 43 folders. Okay. Plus the other thing is if you put it in a fire safe, most fire safes are not built to handle electronic media, because what happens with the fire safe, the ones that aren't rated for electronic media, as they heat, water is released from the clay composite that's inside the shell. Water and electronic media are not good combinations. And if it's in a Ziploc bag, it's going to prevent that water from getting to it. Not completely, but at least some. Yep.
If it's truly electronic and not just the CD, the heat will be magnetizing anyway.
Yeah, this is true. So if it's a flash drive, whatever.
And then if it gets too hot, I don't know where the CD will work, but that will happen.
Okay, but that brings up another point. With personal information, one of the things, now we're off the topic of maintenance, I know. I'll get back on the track in a minute. But if you have a flash drive and you're keeping copies of financial records and inventory, stuff for insurance purposes, you can buy relatively inexpensive flash drives that have a security function, an encryption function on it. You encrypt it, and then you give it to someone else to keep at their house. It's encrypted so they can't get into it easily. But if there's a fire at your house, it's called, in the enterprise world, off-site storage. Yes?
There's this nice off-site storage called safe deposit box.
Yeah. Not everybody has a safe deposit box, but they are relatively, yeah, $50 a year, and depending if you got enough.
They come free with most checking accounts.
Okay. Okay. Any questions about the yes?
I followed up looking for more info and went to print and did print preview.
Mm-hmm.
That thing is 292 pages long.
Yeah. So, yeah, let me bail out of PowerPoint here, show you a little trick.
Save it to a PDF.
Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch TextEdit. So here I got TextEdit. So this window that's on the right is TextEdit. Now I'm going to go to About This Mac. I'm going to go to More Info. And right now I'm just clicked on the Hardware tab, so that's what's showing up here. Now watch what I do. I sweep over it with my cursor, and then I hold down my mouse button and I drag it into the window of TextEdit. And lo and behold, I've now captured just the information I want. Now, what I do is once I've got it in TextEdit, then I put at the top my name, my address, my zip code, phone number, that kind of stuff. and then I print it out on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and then I put that in the Ziploc bag. I also keep another copy in a fire safe.
But the main point is you're not suggesting that we get all the details on all the hardware.
Not printed form. If you want to save it as an electronic file, sure. Because it'll tell you all sorts of stuff, like what applications you had on the machine and that. Okay? And again, I want to make sure that I communicate this to you. This is really not a presentation. It's more of a conversation that we're having here about maintenance. Okay, so what you just did is exactly what I want to have happening in this presentation. Okay, thank you. Okay, everybody saw that little trick? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, Bill. How did you bring up the text edit?
Well, I had text edit down in my doc, but what I also could have done was go up to the system profiler and go to services. See services pop up, and I've got my Chinese text converter. I mean, most of these I've never used, but down here for text edit, it says new window containing the selection. So if you have something that's already selected in System Profiler, and I go to that service, it'll then open text edit and create a new document and put that stuff in its window.
Okay, so that was system profile and then what?
And text edit. Excuse me, I misspoke. System Profiler, and I went from under the System Profiler menu to Services, and from Services all the way down to Text Edit, new window containing selection.
But text edit is an application under applications.
Correct. Correct. And text edit is part of the standard operating, it comes bundled with the operating system from Apple. Okay, did I meet or exceed your expectations with that answer? Okay, good.
The software applications entry there also looks to be a particularly good one.
Okay.
Because it lists them all with their versions and everything.
Yeah. Let me just do a don't save here, close that out, don't save. What Rich was saying is, if I click down here with software, okay, if I just click on the software tab, software item, I just get the operating system. But if I click on the one just below it, applications, I'm getting the little wheel that it's building. It's looking at what are all the programs that are installed on this Mac, and it's going to show me a list with their version number and when they were last modified. Okay, so System Profiler, it's got all sorts of information in it. Very powerful. Okay, but that's not important right now. Right now, we're focusing on what do we need to know to do maintenance. So that first thing is you collect that information. And then you put that information somewhere safe so that you've got it. And those install CDs that come with your Macintosh are very important because they also have a hardware test that's on those DVDs. I got to remember they use DVDs now instead of CDs. So, and you can boot your machine from those DVDs and run diagnostics on them using that stuff that was part of what you paid for, and you didn't know it was there.
Isn't that now a basic version of TechTool Pro?
TechTool Pro, or excuse me, TechTool Deluxe is with the Apple Care. The stuff that's actually on the DVD is the same stuff that your Apple dealer is going to use to check out your hardware. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to go to, that was the collecting information. Now we're going to move on to the sheet that says tips to keep your Mac in top form. Now, what I did, again, I went out to the Apple website and Mac 101, and I found their document on how to, I found this document there. I then did some major editing to it because they had tip-top tips to keep your Mac, and it was just way too perky of a text. And so I modified it a little bit. But let's just go through what are these basic things. And again, I want to make sure that you all understand that there is no silver bullet to maintenance of a computer. There isn't one button that you can press and all of a sudden things are maintained. It's like running a household. I was a house husband for 12 years. And what I learned is, yeah, I could do that frantic cleanup every 2 weeks, but everything in the household was not what it should be in between those cleanups. And then I learned the secret of a little bit every day, a day for every room. In other words, constant, continuous pickup, cleanup, and all of a sudden we had a much more livable household. Wife was happier, the kids were happier, I was happier, and I was no longer getting that overwhelmed feeling that I was getting before. And I've taken those things that I learned as a house husband and I've applied it to what I do at work, where I do computer support, where I maintain these machines and the users of those machines. So think continuous, okay, it's a list of things that you should be doing, and we'll finish up with a task checklist of what's appropriate for a daily, weekly, monthly type of deal. But let me just run through what these basic things are. Keep things up to date. All right, there I'm talking about your operating system and the programs that Apple bundles with that operating system. And I'm going to escape out of the PowerPoint again. There's three different ways that you can get to software update. I'm going to be lazy and just do the one from under the Apple, where it's the second item, software update. What this does, you've got to have an internet connection going. Software update looks at what's on your machine, what version of the operating system, what programs came from Apple, and it looks at that list that System Profiler has, but just the Apple stuff. And then it talks to the Apple website and says, hey, I've got this stuff. And the Apple website then compares that list to what they have in terms of security updates, patches for programs, etc. And it comes back with a list. Okay, I've got a really slow network connection here, so I'm not going to bother with that, but rather I'm going to go back to Preferences. And I'm just going to show you a list of installed updates. Okay, so it would come up with a list, sort of like this, and then you'd have a space for where you can check in front of it whether you want to install it or not. Okay, now, there are people who say, well, you should update daily, you should update weekly. I do a lot of support for Microsoft operating systems, and I've learned never install the patches on everything at the same time. You pick one or two machines, install the patch, watch what goes south, and then you wait for them to come out with the fix. So what I recommend to users that belong to a user group is, wait till the day of the meeting. And then listen to what people say about the updates that came out that month. And then if people say, yeah, good, no problems, it didn't cause any problems with Safari, it didn't cause any problems with QuickTime, etc., then you go ahead that weekend after the meeting, go ahead and install your updates on a monthly basis. And if you hear someone say, I used to be able to play this game on this website, but after that Safari update, I can't do that anymore, then you know not to check that one if you use that website. So while it's good to update the software, I'm suggesting that you keep it a manual rather than an automatic process. Yes, Chuck?
Version Tracker sends me emails each day of what comes up, but they also have on that problems that other people have had with updates. And I don't know if some of them are paranoid or if they've got other setups that are unique, but I don't seem to have quite the problems that other people seem to have with some of the updates.
Okay. Some of the stuff you find on places like Version Tracker and stuff, you can you need to kind of discount it some percent, because some of those folks I've learned over the years are deeply into all kinds of weird stuff that you and I never heard of. And a lot of the people having the worst trouble have hacked systems. You know, they've been in there in the terminal, and they've they've hacked it. And they never seem to tell you that in the email. But then when you get deeper into it, you wind up talking to Drink More Milk 14 from Des Moines. Then you discover all the weird ass stuff that he did to his system, and that's why the latest update blew up in his face.
Okay. But Chuck brings up another point, which is software update only is going to deal with the Apple operating system and the applications that are from Apple. It's not going to deal with your Adobe software. It's not going to handle any of the stuff from, I guess Macromedia is Adobe now, Quark, any of these other programs that come from other sources. Software update is not going to handle that, all right? So the other thing that you need to keep in mind is how do you go about, I'm going to quit out of software update. How do you handle those programs? And again, you look at your little list that you had. What's on this machine? Oh, I've got Acrobat Reader. Oh, I've got Audiobook from Rogue Amoeba. I've got, whatever. And you want to, not on a monthly basis, but I suggest a quarterly basis, look to see if those programs need updates. And the way you tell that is, I'm going to pick two here, and hopefully I will have a network connection when I do this. The first one's going to be Acrobat Reader, so I'm going into the Applications folder here. Let me go to column view so you can see exactly where I'm at. Applications folder, there's a folder in there called Adobe Reader, and now I'm clicking on the Adobe Reader program. I launch it. Many third-party programs have the update function built into them. With Adobe Reader, Adobe products, you tend to go to the Help menu, and you'll find something that says, check for updates now. And then it's going to go out. Again, you have to have an internet connection. It's going to go out over the internet. It's going to talk to the Adobe website and see whether this program needs to be updated or not. I'm going to do a cancel on that because I'm just trying to give you an example. The other thing is with many of the high-end commercial programs, you're also going to have a detect and a repair function where it will fix things. So that's something else to keep in mind. It's not really part of maintenance, it's more troubleshooting, but just something to keep in mind. Now, that's a commercial program. Let's look at a free open source software program like, we're going to look at two of them. We'll look at Firefox. Firefox is an open source web browser. Okay, it's launched. I go to my Help menu, and you'll notice that there's a little thing here, check for updates. In this case, Firefox would go out to the Mozilla website, compare the version that you have with what they have out there, and it would tell you whether there's an update available or not. Yes, Dan?
How often do these updates cause more trouble with folks?
It depends on the company. It depends on the software.
And the reason I ask, we've got one machine running for home use. We're doing an awful amount of reduction of county.
Yeah.
They had to crash for a week.
Again, what I would suggest is that the wise person, the prudent person, either belongs to a user group or associates with people that are in a user group, and says, hey, I noticed there's a new update for QuickBooks. Do I want to install that on my machine? And then they go, oh, no. That's the one that completely erases the accounts receivable payable. The one that they tried to pull back, but it's still out there. And that was an actual instance that happened with Intuit.
Well, for example, we're running 10.3.9, as you suggested earlier, maybe we should join the not involved. A little fear of trying to do that because we might scramble the whole thing.
You know, again, that brings up another thing, which is backups. Did you want to have a backup version of that machine so that you can quickly reinstall? Apple has built in to the older OSs a thing that's called Apple Software Restore, where you can create disk images of your machine. It's not really meant for the average user, but for someone who's in an enterprise situation, this is what we do all the time. We do not reinstall the operating system, reinstall the applications. We just reclone the machine and get it going again after 40 minutes or so. Yes, Rich?
A couple things. Since most Apple applications are in the form of a .app file, one thing you can do is simply rename the old .app file before rolling the new one in.
Yeah.
Now, for minor point releases like Firefox 2, they've just been fixing bugs. There's no profile ramification. The other thing about Firefox is that version 3 is slated to come out Tuesday, and although you might not want to install it right away, I understand they're trying to set the Guinness Book of World Records for downloads on a day. So if you want to grab a Firefox Tuesday, help them.
And I want to just say one other thing, and that is we're focusing more on machines that are running Leopard, but part of the Leopard operating system is a thing called Time Machine. And I really didn't understand the concept until I started to use it. It is the easiest way to back up a computer and retrieve, you made a mistake, you deleted a file, or you had a spreadsheet and you made a change and you went, oh man, I didn't mean to do that, and you can't undo it. With Time Machine, I can just click on the Time Machine, tunnel back a couple days, get that same file, and replace the one I screwed up. It's just absolutely gorgeous, wonderful.
Does that handle coherency well? If you're updating multiple files, if the instant comes through, would it get you halfway through an update?
You can have some problems with that. Yeah.
That's why I just boot off I boot off my external drive and super duper between.
Okay. But for the average user, single machine user, it's a very, very nice, elegant solution for them that solves a real problem.
It's not really meant for, it's kind of difficult to do a complete restore if you have a complete total loss.
Correct. But if you've upgraded an application and now you want to go back to where it was a week ago, you can just do a drag and drop from the old to the new. You're there. Okay, moving on ahead. I'm going to keep channeling here. Put your files away. Okay, I know. You're saying, Bill, we all know to put our files away. But I can't tell you how many times I'm working on somebody's machine and I discover they've got pictures saved. They didn't realize what they were doing when they had the dialog box up. They saved them on a desktop, but it wasn't their desktop, because they're running Mac OS 9 and Mac OS 10 at the same time. So read that section about putting your files away. The whole idea of having folders that match how you think and how you organize stuff. And I would remind you that the Mac OS 10, going into the library users folder and presenter, it comes with these folders pre-existing, your desktop folder, a documents folder, movies, music, pictures. If you got pictures, put them in the pictures folder. You got movies, put them in the movies folder. You got music, keep it in the music folder. If it's another kind of document, keep it in documents. And, you can always, within one of those folders, create another folder. Apple Shift N. I just created a folder, TMG Notes. Boom. If I've got some TMG stuff, keep it in there. If it's stuff related to work, create a work folder, put it in there. If I got something related to my mother-in-law and keeping her machines running, put it in there. Yes, sir.
You also happen to have the ability to make what's called a smart folder.
Yes. But I'm not going to go there today. Because I'm actually going to finish this presentation with all the material properly covered. Because I want to remind you, this is our last meeting before our 2-month summer break. Naming your files. You've got a camera, you've just imported a bunch of photos, DSC-001, DSC-002, DSC-003. A couple weeks later, you go to import another set of photos, and you got another DSC-001. Give them real names. Give them real names. Go through your, well, let me just keep working through here. So name your files. Prune through your files. Hard drives today are truly large storage containers, but they are not infinite. Even if you've got a terabyte hard drive, it's not infinite. And I find that I just have a better attitude towards things in general when I keep things pruned down. So typically once a week I'll go through the hard drive and I'll look at the emails and I'll clear out the old emails and the attachments people sent me, and I'll ask myself, is it actionable or not actionable? Do I need to keep this for reference or not? And if I don't need any of those, then I pitch them. Keeping in mind that I've got that time machine backup, that I can always go back if I have to. But if you keep it pruned down, you get a couple different benefits. By reducing the amount of clutter, it's like your garage. If you don't have a cluttered garage and you need to find that rake or that spade, it's there, right up on the pegboard. You don't have to go hunting through boxes or moving stuff out of the way, and then it's I got to move this, to move that, to move that, to move that, to get to the rake. I mean, life is too short to waste our time that way. Keep the clutter down and you'll be happier, and the machine will be happier too. Number 5, yes?
Do you have to prune your backup file account?
Well, see, what I like about Time Machine is that it looks at the size of the hard drive and it starts to prune itself. It'll do a backup every hour. But once you have done it every hour, then it keeps one for the day, and then it keeps so many per week, and then it'll keep a weekly backup and a monthly backup. So it starts aggregating and collapsing, keeping in mind how much storage space it's got. And it's part of Mac OS 10.5 Leopard. I was really tempted to bring in a USB drive and show backup, but I figured that's almost a presentation in and of itself. Okay. Back up your files. Check for viruses. And again, this was a real-world example that we had. I think, Dan, you're actually the 3rd Mac user this century that I've met who had a virus on their machine. So it's not a very common occurrence.
Actually, not just a virus, it was a malicious macro attached to.
Okay, I am corrected. Malware. M-A-L-ware. Bad software.
If there's anything nice about it, apparently it will not migrate from a Word document to an Excel document to a whatever.
Correct. But in any case, the thing to keep in mind is you want to have some form of antivirus software on your computer. And you want to scan stuff periodically. And whether it's a commercial product like Symantec or Sophos, or the free open source software ClamXAB, you want to have something.
Bill,
Yes?
I hate to admit this, but one of the easiest ways you can check one is just to open a blank Word document, blank Excel document, blank PowerPoint, whatever. Go to Tools, Macros, Edit, and see if there's any macro
Yeah.
attached. And we look into them.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm a Mac user. It's just supposed to work. I shouldn't have to think. You know, I do that with the Microsoft stuff I support at work. I have to think about the technology before I can really get my stuff done. When I have the choice of what I'm going to use, I want something where I don't have to think about the technology. I can just write the letter, print the envelope, read the email, send the response, try and have some effect, positive hopefully, on the world. Okay, moving on. Last but not least, clean the outside. Okay, what I do is once a year, I take everything off of the computer desk, get out the spray cleaner, wipe off the surfaces, wipe off the cables, just clean up the dust, etc., and I try to keep food away from my computer. Yes?
Can I make a suggestion? You have the use a soft, dry, lint-free cloth. Microfiber stuff is excellent.
I've got a microfiber that I use.
Because it picks up all the dust and everything, and instead of spraying stuff around liquids that could cause problems, it picks it all up.
But the thing is, at least once a year you want to clean that workspace. And sometimes you find stuff, like the flash drive you were looking for, or that extra set of glasses you lost. I know, personal, it would never happen to you, but it does happen to me.
One other comment. Swiffers and those things have chemicals in them that can leave a residue.
Yeah.
So that's why microfiber is better.
Now, again, I was talking about cleaning the computer desk, not the equipment. Typically, what you want to do is have either a microfiber cloth or a damp cloth. You don't spray the liquid on the computer, and you're just wiping off those vents, making sure that they're clear. Yes, Dan?
Where do you get the microfiber cloth?
We've been buying ours. Every so often we see them at Office Depot. They'll be over in the cleaning aisle. Ralph's got to Ralph, what?
They have these special sheet that run around.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
Sam's has, you can buy 25 of them for like $9.
Yeah.
Use them in the house.
Houseware is
I'm sure they have other places, but yeah, they're in houseware, that kind of stuff. But Sam's Club also has 20. And they're good for windows and everything.
Okay. So the main thing is, in the same way that you're maintaining the interior of the computer by pruning files, reducing clutter, etc., you also want to be actually working with the physical environment too. Okay. Believe me, you will be more productive if you have a clean keyboard. And it does not affect your creativity at all. I support many graphic artists, and sometimes, I want to put the gloves on before I touch their workstations.
Bill, did you already mention it was kind of a scientific experiment by taking samples from various keyboards?
Let's not talk about
No.
that. That's disgusting.
Okay.
It is, but it was done. It was a well-done study, and you really want to clean your keyboard.
Yeah.
There was, especially keyboards that are used by multiple people, the toilet seat is cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
If any of you are doing computer support, one of the things that I learned from a healthcare professional, and it sounds a little strange, but it really does make sense, is before you go to the help desk call to work on somebody's machine, I always wash my hands, and out of the sight of the user. I mean, I don't wash my hands because I'll think, okay. But then when I'm finished, I also go wash my hands again, so that I'm not a transmission vector, and it's being courteous to your customers.
Well, I stayed healthy all winter by following pretty much that same procedure.
Yeah.
Everybody else was dying of respiratory crud and all this other stuff. And it kept me, from coming down with all that stuff.
Okay, so again, these look like very trivial things, very minor things, but I would remind you that if you really want to change the world, it's those everyday, trivial, minor things that really change the world. Saying hello to somebody in a hallway, you do that every day for a week, and all of a sudden they'll start to say hello back, and you can change the environment of a workplace sometimes positively. Yes, George?
When you get to cleaning your keyboard, what do you do about all the little cracks between the keys.
Okay. First thing you do is make sure the machine's turned off. Disconnect the keyboard. Take the keyboard to some place where you don't care if stuff falls out of it. Turn it upside down and just shake it to start. Okay? And then if you've got shop vac, not shop vac, the battery operated,
Canned
you
air.
just
Canned air.
yeah, canned air, anything like that. Typically, you want to just use a microfiber cloth on it to get some of it out, but just by letting gravity work for you, you can get that stuff out. The other thing is, if you really, you have to eat Kentucky Fried Chicken while you're computing, you can. There are relatively inexpensive keyboard covers. It's like the vinyl, Grandma puts on the sofa when you come to visit. Okay, for keyboards, so that the water spills don't get in there, the crumbs don't get in there. Dr. Bott is one company that has it. There's a couple companies that make those.
What
Yes.
are your thoughts on the little attachments that you can get to go on your sweeper hose?
I use one, but I only use it for the exterior.
That's what I mean.
If you're going to be cleaning the inside of a computer case, you want to make sure that it's not generating a static charge.
No, I'm just talking about like for the keyboard and things like that.
Yeah, as long as it's not a tremendous suck, because you can pull. I've seen people actually vacuum up their keys off of their iBook keyboards.
What we're talking about is you can buy a kit that goes on the hose of the sweeper, and what it does is it actually has an attachment that cuts down on the amount of suction, but it has a small tube to clean.
And it makes for a little bitty brush.
Don't use your shop vac.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea.
Okay. Moving on. I'm just a little bit behind. I want to go through some of the maintenance software that you should have. If you've got a laptop, especially battery health monitor. And I'm on the form that says software to keep your Mac in top form. Mr. Kurtner has some of the software, over there where you can get it. But let me just walk through them. Some of these will be familiar to you. Battery health monitor. And just doing an escape here, I'm just going to launch it and show you what it does. Applications. I put them all together in one folder so I wouldn't have to fumble around finding them. And then I forgot to leave that folder open. Okay, this is battery health monitor. And what it does is it looks at your laptop battery and it shows you what its current capacity is, what its current charge is, how many charge cycles it's had, and what its current voltage is.
You can also get that out of the system profile.
Okay, and this is important because they only have a certain life cycle. They can only be recharged so many times. So you've got a battery, let's say somebody gave you an iBook. It's been in use many, many years, and it doesn't seem to be operating quite right. If you run something like battery health monitor on it, you can see that, that battery is basically used up. You need to buy a new battery for it. Okay.
Bill?
Yes.
Question?
Yes.
Comment on batteries. If you leave your laptop, say you're using your iMac, your big screen iMac, and you leave your laptop just sitting over on the desk, unless you run out to a place like this or run off on a trip and you take your laptop with you. But while it's sitting there on the desk, is that bad for the battery charge problem area? You leave it plugged in all the time?
Not with the new ones.
Not with the new Mac?
Now with everything, ever since they went to the aluminum, the big aluminum, like the one I got up here. You've got one of the newer ones.
Yeah, I got a Mac
Yeah.
with plastic.
Yeah. They became much more intelligent about not trying to recycle because it's only down a little bit.
I see.
Okay. Now, if you were talking, PowerBook 530s, the Hooper, the early 030 laptops, we learned early on not to leave them plugged in. Okay, next one, Clam XAV. That's this little bad boy. And this is a free open source antivirus program. You can use it to detect infected files. And you can use it to quarantine those files, but it can't uninfect them. There you've got to go for a commercial product. In this case, I've got it pointing at my user folder, because typically that's where most data is going to be, in the user folder. And you would just say, okay, presenter, fine, start the scan. It's going to start scanning those files. The only other thing to keep in mind, I'm going to do a stop scan, is to make sure that you update your virus definitions. And again, with ClamAV, open source, if you have an internet connection, it'll bring in those new antivirus definitions. That's how it spots what's a virus and what isn't a virus.
I'll endorse that. I've used that for some years now. Find it to be very good.
It would spot the macro, and it would give you the message saying, hey, this is an infected file, but that doesn't force the user to understand what it said. And it can't, if you've got, you have a Word document and it's been infected, it can't uninfect it. But your commercial products, Symantec, Sophos, and if McAfee's still selling Virix, those can actually remove that.
Well, they try.
Well, about 85% of the time, it does a good job.
What can also happen with those things is that they can do damage in the process of trying to remove the nastiness.
Which is, again, why it's nice to have a time machine backup, because then you go back 2 weeks in your backup. Well, first you eradicate the files, and then you go back 2 weeks to before it got infected. Sometimes the files come in infected, in which case you got to figure out which attachment was the one, and you want to notify the person that sent it to you.
If you have an infected file and you delete it, where does the infection go to from there?
If you delete it, you're basically removing it, but I would do a secure delete, where it actually zeroes over it.
Okay, which is what shift?
It's in Finder, the fourth one down, secure empty trash. You got to have something in the trash before you can do a secure empty trash. Okay, enough about ClamAV. Main menu. Main menu has got a sort of strange interface. See up here on my menu bar, I now have this little plus. That's where, when main menu is running, that's where your interfaces run from. You hold down your mouse button, and then it comes up with all the different things it can do. Typically, with main menu, you just want to execute your batch tasks. I'm going to just go into preferences here and show you what they do. Repairs disk permissions, run all cron maintenance scripts, update pre-bindings, clean user caches, force empty trash, clean archive, all this stuff. Okay. Now, with Leopard, some of these things are no longer required, but it doesn't hurt to do them. With older versions of the operating system, this is stuff you want to do on a monthly basis. Yes?
How is this different from MacJanitor?
Say it again?
How is this different from MacJanitor?
It does stuff that MacJanitor doesn't do. MacJanitor runs those cron maintenance routines, the daily, weekly, and monthly cron events. This does other stuff. So it's sort of a combination of disk utility, Applejack, MacJanitor, maintenance, which is a program from the guy that wrote Onyx. Does them all, nice little package, and it's free.
So if you do this, you don't need to run MacJanitor?
No. If you're running Leopard, you don't need to run MacJanitor. In Leopard, they put a little Unix if statement so that it checks to see whether the cron events have run lately, and if they haven't, it runs them in background.
You don't have to have your, like some people say, if something happens at 2 or 3 in the morning, but that's if you haven't set up your preferences to shut off the machine.
In Tiger, if your machine was slept, it would still run the cron events. In Panther, your machine had to be on and awake. In Jaguar, the machine had to be on and awake. In Leopard, your machine doesn't have to be on, because when you turn it on, it's going to look to see whether those events, when they last ran, and it'll run them if they didn't run before.
So why would you run, a follow-up question, why would you
Because
run
I'm
these?
lazy, and I want to just be able, instead of having to click run this, then that, in main menu, I just say, hey, execute batch tasks, and it just does them. And then I don't have to think about, is it a Panther machine, a Tiger machine, a Leopard machine, a Jaguar machine? You know me, I'm lazy. I don't want to have to think. I've got too much stuff I got to get done at work. If I start thinking, especially about what they tell me to do, I'm dead. I won't get, plus I'll have a bad attitude. You know, you got to keep smiling. All right, I got to keep moving here, folks.
That's what the drugs in the water are for.
I know. Okay. So main menu, it's got a sort of a funky interface, but it's really something you ought to take a look at. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's in there if you're geeky and you want to do some other stuff. Now, and let me just go in here and quit from main menu. I'm going to show you another one here and quit. It's not installed right now, but I'm about to turn it on. This is called Smart Reporter. And all Smart Reporter does is just monitor the health of your hard drive. And I'm running it for the first time, so if you watch the screen, I'll show you how to set it up the first time you run it. I click OK. It goes, hey, this is the first time I've ever run. Do you want me to come on whenever you turn on the machine? You know, that's the default. I say, yeah, that's what I want. And do you want me to have the standard appearance where I have a little green icon if everything's okay, and a yellow icon if things are starting to get strange, and a red icon if you really ought to get a new hard drive? And I say, yeah. And behavior, do you want me to check for updates? Yeah. Do you want me to start when you log in? Yeah. So now I've got another little widget up on my menu bar. Whenever I turn on the machine, it's going to automatically look at the hard drive and use smart technology. It's an acronym that stands for, I don't remember what it is, but basically there's a chip built on the motherboard of the hard drive, the controller board of the hard drive, that watches what the hard drive is doing and can start to see when it's getting a little strange. So it will predict hard drive failure.
Yeah, and if your drive fails a smart test,
You need to replace it.
It's time to take action.
Yeah, but the thing that's great about it is it tells you before the drive fails. Usually. I mean, you still will get the sudden failure, but
if it doesn't, you'll know that it failed anyway.
Yeah. And again, I consider this to be part of maintenance. You're monitoring the state of the equipment. And what I like about Smart Reporter is all I got to do is just remember when I turn on the machine, look at the menu bar. Is the little green widget there, or is it red or yellow? I mean, how tough is that? And again, it's free. And last but not least, Tech Tool Deluxe. Tech Tool Deluxe comes with the Apple Care package.
It's on the desk when you get it.
Yeah. And we can distribute it. It requires that you run from an administrator account. And what Tech Tool Deluxe does is it does more than just monitor the hard drive. It actually does a diagnostic of your computer. So it checks the processor, it'll check the RAM, it'll check the video RAM. So I've got it running a test right now. So it's checking the RAM. I got a lot of RAM in this, so I'll tell it to skip. So now it's going to check the video RAM, so it actually does, you know. Now it's going to check the USB ports. And this is the sort of stuff you run once a year. Maybe twice a year if you really, you know,
Or
stress out your machine.
And you think something might be wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So you got the idea about Tech Tool. Yes? Deluxe.
On one of my computers, it tends to run the disk utility for a very long period of time. I don't know if I should start and let it run overnight, or if I've got something else going on that I should be concerned about.
What kind of hard drives? Are they SCSI or are they IDE?
IDE, it's the 60 gigabyte drive, run a 400 megahertz computer with,
Okay, 400 megahertz, 60 gigabit drive. It's going to take it a while to check it.
should that be 2 hours or should that be?
More like 6 to 8.
6 to 8?
Yeah, it's an overnight job to let it, especially if it's scanning all the blocks.
So I've gotten too impatient.
Yeah.
Saying that.
I don't normally say that to retired engineers, but in your case, I'm going to say it just this once. Okay, and wrapping up, periodic checklist, daily tasks. So we're on the last sheet. You know, and these aren't just for reference purposes. I mean, you can actually take this home and maybe start doing this stuff. On a daily basis, backup changed files. Okay. Download but don't install software updates. This comes from a Take Control book, and he says download daily. I think once a month for the average user is all you really want to do. Weekly tasks, clean up your desktop, back up everything, rotate backups offsite, use software update, check for third-party software updates, reboot if performance seems slow, consider cleaning certain caches. Now, this is for like somebody who's really working their machine. This is meant for a power user. But on the monthly tasks, I'd say monthly and yearly, focus on those. Empty your trash. Now, please don't be offended, but I know there's someone out there in the audience who stores stuff in their trash. And that's a bad thing to do. You know, every your notebook's battery, check for Take Control updates. Okay, you know, it's a little plug for their publishing firm. Yearly tasks, de-dust your Mac, clean your keyboard, clean your eyesight. That's the little video camera, web camera. Make archival backups to DVD. Okay, that's a good one. Remove unneeded files and change your passwords. When's the last time you changed your passwords? Think about it. Now, 30 days I think is a little excessive, but once a year. It's not a bad idea. Okay, Dan.
I don't see you run Safe Start. Safe Start?
In Leopard, it's not needed. It's used for troubleshooting, not for preventative maintenance.
On the older ones?
On the older ones, yes. Now, let me just, Safe Start or Safe Boot. You start up your Mac and you hold down the Shift key. And what it does is it performs what's called an FSCK, which is a file system check. And yeah, I mean, you know, it's real simple to do. Okay, now I just want to remind everybody, let me just get this one last disclaimer in. I was focusing on people that are running Leopard. Okay, Leopard, that's Mac OS 10.5. If you're running an older version of the operating system, then all that stuff in main menu that it was doing that isn't really necessary in Leopard, you want to be doing on probably a monthly basis. Okay, now with that said, I'm going to shut up and take questions from the audience, and we'll just go until people say.
Talk about cleaning the drive or gaining space on the drive. I've got 20 gigabyte drive here with 3 gig free, and I need to free up some stuff.
When you run something like main menu, it's going to clean out cache files. It's going to clean out logs. Not just the logs that are currently in use, but all the archived logs, because Unix archives this stuff, and it just keeps going until it runs out of space. And that'll get you a significant amount of clear space. But you might want to look at some other utilities that are out there. Let's see if I got any of them on this one. I hope I do.
Is there a good way just to see what's in what folders that has huge amounts of space?
Well, let me see if I can do a real quick search here, or better yet, let me see if I've got it on a flash drive. But there's a program called Disk Directory, and what it does is give you a graphic picture of what's where, what's using up space on the computer. I'm just going to do this. If you're running an older operating system, okay, and you have specific questions on how to clean out all of the, I call them barnacles, though the actual term is cruft, send me an email, and I'll send you, you know, the actual website URLs to the utilities I use. With that said, I'm going to see if I, by chance, have on my flash drive.
When I went to terminal and went through the list, there was something came up was VM storage. It seemed like it had an awful lot of
Okay,
space in it.
VM storage is your paged memory. Okay, as long as you haven't had a significant crash, that's actually being used. Okay, if you don't have enough RAM in the machine, it's going to page it out to the hard drive for the RAM it needs.
So I don't want to.
It's like paging memory in Windows. Yeah, that would be a bad thing. That would be like incredibly bad. Let's see if it came up. There it is. Oh, I'm hoping I have it on here, but let's see. And the answer's no. Let's try in here. The answer's no. Okay. Yeah, not a problem. This is why God made Google. If I can just get the right icon here. Now there's something to take away. You know, you see me fumbling around. I'm actually a productive human being. So it's okay to fumble around as long as you're still able to get results. Now if I was on a Windows machine, I'd be dead. But I can still be productive with a Mac. And I'm thinking it's called Disk Directory.
Spell it right.
I've got a way slow network connection here. Yeah. Chuck, what I'm going to suggest is just send me an email, and because there's like 3 or 4 that I really like. Each of them handles it just slightly differently.
I was going to start to attack the fonts. Start to delete a bunch of fonts.
Okay.
There's some that are really important and others that are not.
Yeah. And you're running what version of the operating system? Leopard? See Tom, before he breaks down the stuff, you want to get a copy of, and I know I've got it on the...
I asked him to transfer it onto the...
Yeah, this is the program you want, Leopard Cache Cleaner. This is a demo version. If you want the full functionality, you got to pay the shareware fee. But Leopard Cache Cleaner... now, we had someone say, don't use a shop vac on your Mac. If it's Leopard Cache Cleaner, you can use a shop vac. But this thing goes into the nooks and crannies and cleans out stuff that no other program I've seen will do. An excellent product. You can also use this to install ClamAV and run ClamAV. Very interesting application, but it's more of outside the scope of essential Mac maintenance. But Leopard Cache Cleaner, and you want the 4010 version for Leopard. Okay, my clock says it's 12:05, which means I ran 5 minutes over. Unless there's one other question, I'm going to... Okay, Jim, you want...
One quick question. I used to have a desktop tower form factor Mac, and I would let the hard drive run 24/7, 365. Well, now my machine is a mini, laptop hard drives in there. So what's the thought on letting a laptop hard drive go to sleep in terms of life expectancy of the hard drive? Let it go to sleep. I know if I let it run 24/7, it's a toasty little mini.
Yeah. I'd have it where it goes to sleep whenever it's not needed.
Okay.
Yeah. Energy saver panel. Okay. Did you find it of use? Okay. We are officially adjourned, but I would remind you that I'm looking for people who are willing to present to the membership. I'm looking for people that are willing to help with getting the DVD project going over the summer. Especially people who have ideas for stuff that we should put on the CD, DVD for members. Software or tips, suggestions that they have. I want it to be sort of a homegrown type project. Okay? And again, thank you for letting me serve you.